Hey NetSuite podcasters, thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Kendall Fisher, and on this episode of the NetSuite podcast, I sat down with the Senior Vice President of Customer Success for Oracle NetSuite's Global Business Unit, David Rodman. David heads up NetSuite services teams offering support no matter where you are in your business journey. He breaks down how the services team is there to help ensure a smooth transition once you go live and as your business continues to expand and evolve, and therefore your solution needs to change. He also dives into the various services NetSuite offers for everything in between, including technical support, training, maintaining your solution to maximize its performance, partner services, and what's to come in the future.
You're listening to the NetSuite Podcast, where we discuss what's happening within NetSuite, why we're doing it, and where we're heading in the future. We'll dive into the details about the software and the people at NetSuite who are behind all the moving parts. We'll also feature customer growth stories, discussing the ups and downs of running a company and how one integrated system can help your business continue to scale.
Before we get into our interview with David Rodman, we want to thank our sponsors at The Second City. It turns out the phrase corporate entertainment doesn't have to be an oxymoron. Second City Works, the B2B side of the world-famous comedy mecca, The Second City, crafts events that are interactive, educational, and totally hilarious. Whether you're planning a leadership summit, a sales meeting, an association conference, or you just need to show your team a good time, the top-tier comedy pros of Second City Works bring your information to life and will make your audience laugh till they learn. Visit secondcityworks.com to find out more. Hi, David. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the NetSuite podcast. I always like to start off by giving our listeners some insight into our guests. So before we do anything else, I want to get to know you a little bit.
Sounds good.
Where are you from? What did you study? And what was the career path that led you to Oracle NetSuite?
Very good question. So I was born in Africa, specifically in Zimbabwe.
Oh my gosh.
And which was formerly known as Rhodesia back in the day, which I'll probably date myself in terms of my age. I studied computer science and economics at the University of Cape Town. And I joined what was the precursor to Accenture right out of college. And after a few years, I moved to Los Angeles, still with the Accenture firm. And I was a career consultant, actually. I ended up being a partner at Arthur Andersen. And so I was a consultant all the way up until several years ago, about almost 4 years ago when I joined NetSuite. And the reason, the path is long and maybe not as interesting as our viewers would like to hear about, but I started in the ERP world pretty early. So I did pretty much every single ERP that's out there, from JD Edwards to PeopleSoft to Oracle, SAP, Microsoft. And in latter years, I got very, very interested in the cloud, and that's in essence how I got to NetSuite. I got called by an executive recruiter. I came and met Jim McGeever, who is now our leader at NetSuite, and sort of was instantly drawn to the company, and that's how I got to NetSuite at the end of the day.
Wow, that's quite the journey. And
yeah,
also,
it is.
I mean, it also says a lot about you, because if you've worked with all of these ERP systems in the past, and the fact that you've been with NetSuite now for several years. When did you start at NetSuite? What was the exact
I started in June of 2015.
Okay, so
around about the same time as Jason Maynard, who's our head of strategy. I spent quite a bit of time with Oracle, which was the biggest ERP I worked with. And I think Evan, who is our founder, and I have chatted quite a bit about how the vision for NetSuite was a suite, right, where everything's integrated. You have a single version of the customer, single version of the product. And in essence, Oracle was originally going down that path, but NetSuite really executed on that path to its fullest extent. So that's why, and the other ERP systems, the frustrations a lot of customers had was that you sort of implemented, you poured yourself into concrete, it was difficult to change. And most companies don't implement when that's what they want to be. They still have aspirations and dreams. NetSuite allows you to sort of evolve the application with where your business goes. You're not poured into concrete. You have a lot of flexibility. You can do whatever you want. So that's why I found NetSuite, the cloud, the platform, was set up for the future. And it's kind of proven to be right.
Yeah, and you're still here, which
I'm still here, yeah.
is further proof.
And very excited to be here.
Yeah, so you're now the Senior Vice President of Customer Success for Oracle NetSuite's GBU, Global Business Unit. Can you quickly explain to our listeners what that entails?
Yeah, I think customer success is quickly becoming a standard title out in the industry. But just very specifically, what I manage is 3 business units. One is professional services, which is the implementation of NetSuite in addition to post-go-live managed services. The second one is our education group. So we educate our customers and partners on how to implement and use NetSuite. And then thirdly, we have we like to call our world famous product support, which is the 7x24 support of our customers that are using NetSuite. And if they happen to run into an issue, we're at the end of the line to be able to help them fix that issue.
Wow, that's a lot to oversee there, David.
Yeah.
And we're actually going to dive into all 3 of those kind of different services and groups. But as we are looking into that, this has actually been a year of transformation for the NetSuite services organization and practice, the way the organization integrates with the company, and ultimately how we serve our customers. Can you explain a little bit about this transformation and how it came about, and how did our customers influence this change?
Yeah, I think that this was roughly at the time that I was interviewing to come to NetSuite. Mm-hmm. Jim had a vision for a term we will talk about quite a bit, which it wasn't called this back then, but it's called Suite Success. And Suite Success is really the way we've transformed the whole of NetSuite, from how we, before we even sell to a customer, to how we show them what they're going to get, to the implementation, to how we build the product, and then how we support them long term. A lot of companies tried various different forms of that, but they were siloed in their approach. So for example, you'd have a professional services team that came in with best practices, but that wasn't what they saw in the demos. So software companies notoriously had a tough time where they would demo something and then what the customer got was something that was completely different. And so to me, the number one issue is in customer success is showing them what they're going to get and then delivering to that. Or, Jim, my boss, says, sell what we deliver and then deliver what we sell. So that's been it sounds like very simple, but that's been the biggest change that we've had in the company. It's been a monumental change. The other thing is a lot of our customers came to us and we would show up with a blank piece of paper and say, okay, well, what are your requirements? And they would be, let's just say, a software company or a wholesale distribution. And they'd say, but you've done NetSuite for thousands of customers. Why are you asking me what my requirements are? Why don't you tell me what you think are the best practices for me or the things that would serve me the best? So what Suite Success does is we went and leveraged, we actually carved out an entire team that came from consulting and sales and pre-sales and product, and we built versions of NetSuite that was aimed at their particular business. So instead of, we call it, instead of showing up and asking them, we show up and lead to some degree. It doesn't mean we make them do exactly what we want, but we say, this is the best way that software companies have run, and let's focus on just the unique things about you, things that are going to make you sing in the marketplace versus you having to tell us all about the mundane aspects of your ERP system. Let's just focus on the critical differences. So we show up with what we call a best practice version for them in their industry, and then go from there. So we again, leading versus asking. So that's been again a huge fundamental change for us. I mean, all across the company at the end of the day.
Right.
The other thing that is different is that SaaS companies are very different from on-premise software companies. And what I mean by that is the software companies that were on-premise would convince you to buy the software, and that would be 99% of their effort, right? Like, now you've got it, see ya, and you're on your own.
Good luck.
Good luck. So in SaaS, whether we implement it or we don't implement it, we're married to each other. The customer and us are married to each other for life. or at least as long as they're using NetSuite. And we hope that that's for life because they're happy with us. So a couple things. We have to make sure that all along the way, from pre-sales to implementation, whether we're doing it or someone else is doing it, to go live, that experience is as good as it can be. And so we have changed our measurements for the entire company to focus on customer satisfaction. We measure it a number of different times throughout that journey. And when something is, we're seeing our scores go up, but obviously that is a never-ending goal, is to keep improving. And in services, it's especially a challenging role because there's a lot of different moving parts. So those are the big, what I would call changes from when I joined NetSuite to where we are today, like almost 4 years later.
Yeah, and those are some, massive changes from selling out of the box to selling, with the different assets and attributes that our customers are looking for in specific industries of specific sizes.
Yeah.
Do you have any specific customer success stories that have come out of this, or just words that you've heard customers say, like how it's helped them and helped them continue to grow?
Yeah, I think that what we try and pitch for our customers, or what we tend to see, is that customers have aspirations. They typically don't want to come to you and say, hey, I'm an X size company, that's the size I'm going to be at for the rest of our lives. So we've got, I look at NetSuite and quite honestly, my wife teases me a little bit because I shop at all of our customers. So whether it's, like I'm wearing a Untuckit shirt today, which is a NetSuite customer.
Oh my gosh.
And, my kids like Sugarfina, we listen to Spotify. Snapchat's not necessarily my thing, but they're a customer. But a lot of these customers Ring, that you have at your front doorbell. We've got some cool customers, in every industry. Retail, some of the most recognizable names, from Lucky to Bonobos to Untuckit, you name it. And I think that all of these customers have one thing in common, is they want to grow their business. So Ring just got bought by, I believe, Amazon for $1 billion. But when they started with us, they were much smaller.
Right.
And they had aspirations to grow. And coincidentally, we do Google Nest as well. So a lot of these customers are really, really, the theme is that they have dreams, they want to grow, and they view NetSuite as a platform to grow, but also realizing that they don't know where their business is going to take them. It can change dramatically. We've got some entertainment customers that, when they started selling movies, for example, they used to sell them to Blockbuster, and now they're selling them on the backs of the seats of airplanes and to your iPods and iPods. I'm dating myself again. iPhones and iPads, etc. So again, the theme there is growth and change.
Right.
So that's what I think NetSuite, how it just helps our customers at the end of the day.
Right, and that's how Suite Success was set up, to help our customers and to continue to allow them to bite small and take that next step up for whatever it is, wherever they are, across the board.
Exactly, and and even though we have 7 or 8 big verticals that we deal with, but now what we're doing is we're taking those verticals and breaking them down even further. So, for example. And there's nothing that turns off a customer more than when you show up to them and you don't really understand their business. So we've got retail customers. They could be a retailer that's selling a beauty product, which is a lotion or a perfume or whatever it is. Then you've got a different retail customer that's selling clothing. And the clothing, you got matrixed items, like you got style, size, and color.
Right.
Whereas you don't have that in a perfume or a lotion, right?
Right.
So we're now developing Suite Success solutions for health and beauty, and then Suite Success for apparel and footwear, as an example. And so we've got different approaches for both of those, and they appreciate that. They go, oh, you understand our industry. Now let's talk about how we're very unique and how we can make that allow us to be dominant in the marketplace.
Right, and that's huge and super successful. Actually, let's talk a little bit about the role that your team, NetSuite Services, plays in Suite Success and how it's enabled us to continue to supporting our customers' growth and success.
Yeah. So from a professional services standpoint, we've built. Obviously, we have had to train up over 1,000, close to 1,500 consultants in the different verticals, the different versions of Suite Success, how to implement. So if you rewind 4 years ago, we are showing up with a blank piece of paper I spoke about. Now we've got consultants that are experts in leading practices in your industry, showing up with the process flows that are best practices, showing up with a knowledge of your industry, and looking to get something done in typically 30 to 40% of the time that it used to take us. So if we used to take 270 days, 9 months to do an implementation, our average is dropping to 5, 4, 3. We even so that's what, that was one of the biggest changes we had to make, was change from what we used to call asking to leading, right? The other thing is that customers are paying for our software, so they want to get up and running as quickly as they can. They want to get what we call time to value. So Suite Success has got the analogy. I'm a big analogy guy. It's like running the 100-yard race, but we started at the 50-yard line. So again, if you're that software company, we've got a lot of the stuff pre-built. We've got over 2,000 hours of dashboards and reports and configurations and processes already built into it. And then we take it from that 50-yard line to the end, which is focused on you. We also, the other thing we did, which we noticed we were doing a little bit, is we had a bit of a one-size-fits-all. So if you were a billion-dollar company or if you were a pre-revenue company, we sort of came at you with the same, motion, if you will. Like we sold to you in the same way, or we delivered in the same way, we supported in the same way. And those are two different things. Right. So now we have sort of like almost like a t-shirt size, small, medium, large approach to NetSuite. So we've got some customers that are, got 3 employees and they want to be up and running in 40 days. And so we've got what's called NetSuite Starter Edition, all the way up to the NetSuite Corporate Edition. It's not a different version. Beneath the covers, it's still NetSuite. There's only one version of NetSuite that's out there. And that's critical to know, because we don't have 40,000 different versions of NetSuite beneath the covers. It's just 40,000 different customers, as an example. But back to it, we have a different t-shirt size approach so that we can work with our customers based on how big you are, how fast you want to go, how quickly you want to get live, etc.
Right. Got it. Well, we are going to take a quick break right now. And then when we come back, we're going to get into some of those services that you mentioned before in different groups and teams. And so
sounds
see
good.
You guys in a bit.
Which American company started with a guy in a garage, was featured on Shark Tank, and now has over 1 million customers? Hint, they're reducing crime in neighborhoods everywhere. Here's Ring Video Doorbell founder Jamie Siminoff with his secret to success.
It's true. In just a few years, we've had huge growth. We've hired hundreds of people, expanded our warehouse, and we're shipping millions of units a year, all while making sure our customers are happy. I've had lots of things to worry about, but I never worry about our finance and accounting, because we use NetSuite from Oracle. From the beginning, NetSuite let me see what's going on with my business in real time, from revenues to expenses, customers and orders, even HR. I run my business from a dashboard right on my phone. NetSuite has been my business management system from 10 to a team of over 1,000, and NetSuite will be my choice as we continue to innovate and grow.
Go to netsuite.com/ring to see how Jamie scaled his business. You'll also get our free guide titled Overcoming Your 5 Obstacles to Growth. That's netsuite.com/ring for your free guide and the story of a great American company. netsuite.com/ring.
Okay, so like you mentioned before, we have a ton of services we offer our customers and more to come in the future, which we'll get to. But let's begin with Suite Support. What support services are provided with Suite Support, both basic and premium? And then how do these services differ from our managed services support offerings?
Yeah, good question. So every NetSuite customer gets what we call basic support. And basic support includes making sure that the NetSuite product and its service and the infrastructure are working appropriately, so that if there is a problem, you can log a case and we will then work that case and fix it based on the severity, right, of the issue. And premium is a little bit of a step up. We charge, basic is actually included in the NetSuite license. Premium we charge a little bit more for. And from there, you have the ability to call us and leverage us for what we call how do I use my solution. If I'm stuck, it's a you've got access to call us on a continual basis. Both support offerings are supported 7/24. We have a follow the sun team, so they're spread out across the world, and they cover every minute and second of the year. So we're not ever down from a support perspective. So that is what we call suite support, basic and premium. And the second part of your question was, well, what's managed services?
Right.
And managed services is, again, as we spoke of, our customers, when they go live, that's a point in time, and their business will change. They hopefully will grow. Their users will grow. They'll get into different parts of the world. Managed services allows them to evolve NetSuite to match how their business is changing. So we have a managed services team that you can contract with, that can, you have access to all aspects of NetSuite. So for example, if you're growing your distribution all over the world, we can look at how do we do order to cash in Europe versus Asia versus the United States. How do you have multiple warehouses, etc.? How do you plan for your increased volumes? How do you make sure your websites are optimized so that you're always getting the best hits? Those are the sort of evolution of your application, and making sure that it's getting optimized as your business is changing at the end of the day. So I think if you think of support as more of it's a little bit like break fix. If something isn't working, how do we make sure it's It's like roadside. When your car breaks down, you have roadside assistance. You just want to get back on the road as quickly as you can.
Right.
If your website's down, why is it down? Let's get you back on so you can get your orders taking. That's using your existing solution. Managed services is evolving that and going from there, all the way through to some of our largest customers who may have NetSuite, just one application that they use. They're integrated to different applications. How do we architecturally keep those things integrated and in sync, if you will?
So we actually launched 2 managed services this year, being advanced customer support and learning cloud support, right?
Yes.
We'll dive into both. But first, why did we launch these, and what challenges were our customers facing that prompted this? Like, what's the benefit for them?
Yeah, so we actually did launch advanced customer. It used to be called something different. We had it a couple years ago.
Good to know for our customers who were curious about that.
Exactly. But we sort of formalized it, and what we saw was, like, as we spoke about a little bit earlier, customers have dreams and aspirations. They may start off with, we also like to call of a stairway of using NetSuite. You go live, but you're going to add this or do this or change this.
As you continue to grow and find different challenges.
And so helping evolve the NetSuite application, you may not have the NetSuite knowledge on staff, but you don't want to go and hire 10 people. You may want to just have, a few hours of an order to cash person or an advanced revenue management guy or gal, etc. So we carry those, we've got all the skills and capabilities, and advanced customer support will allow us to take a look at your application, optimize it, help you move up the stairway, do tasks that will make it better, adopt new functionality, add to your website, go after a different channel in your business. That's really what advanced customer support does. So we work with customers. It's not big projects, so if you come back and say, I want to now do a big project to roll it out to Asia, that's when our professional services would get back involved and go and roll out to Asia. But ACS is there day in and day out. They're dedicated to you, and they can bring the various aspects of NetSuite to improve, optimize your solution at the end of the day.
Right.
So that's advanced customer support, what we call a managed service.
And before we get into learning cloud support, I want to ask a little bit more about advanced customer support. It's really interesting to me because I saw firsthand how it affects one of our customers' downtown project, Las Vegas.
Yep, that's right.
And they told me they felt like they were living, and I'm truly quoting this, they felt like they were living in the basement of NetSuite. And when they started utilizing advanced customer support, they moved to the mansion.
Yep.
And I loved that metaphor. We're big on metaphors, clearly.
Yeah, exactly.
But I love that metaphor because they basically said they didn't really, there was all this stuff that they didn't know that they could utilize for, to continue growing their company, which is across education, real estate, small companies, so on and so forth. And they said advanced customer support helped them with that.
Exactly. It's difficult. They're a great customer because they were kind of happy. They sort of, as you say, you don't know what you don't know,
right,
until you sort of get a little bit more education. But what ACS or advanced customer support did for them, it said, well, okay, you're using it pretty well, but your aspirations are to do this, and here's how NetSuite can do that.
Right.
So it helped them actually evolve and change their application so that it met more of their needs, more of their aspirations with their business were met by NetSuite. So they moved out of the garage, then they went into the kitchen, then they went into the living room. And these weren't big efforts, but if you don't have the expertise or the years of NetSuite training, you may not know that NetSuite can do this. And then they may go, well, we want to put up a website and sell some stuff. We'll provide our customers with a B2B or B2C access to our products. And yeah, we could do that. And here's how we do it. And then a few hours later, we're up and running. So that's what ACS will do. It's not necessarily we're broken and we need to fix what's broken. Right. It's more evolving and expanding and optimizing. And always, we've got retail customers that, they want to, their customers to find them. So how do we optimize their search engines and things to that effect? That's what ACS allows our customers to do without necessarily having all of those experts on staff, if you will.
Right. Can you actually tell me a little bit about the different service levels of ACS, advise, monitor, optimize, and architect?
Yeah, so without getting too complicated, they really are based on the size of customer that you are. Okay. So advise is the lowest. In fact, we haven't formally released it yet. It's coming out in the next couple of weeks. This is for example, a small commitment of monthly hours, and we will give you advice. We'll have experts available. You may say, just like our customer in Vegas who didn't know how to get out of the garage, they may ask us advice and say, how would you do this in NetSuite? Right. Or how would you take advantage of NetSuite? We've got this business goal. Would NetSuite be a good solution for that? So that's advice. So it's, again, having the functional and technical experts on staff. Monitor is making sure that your system is performing the way it's supposed to perform. Then you go and again, this could be like making sure the integrations, the architecture, everything's humming, and we're keeping things up to date. Again, like for a customer, I'm making this up a little bit, but let's just say Ring, you start off and you got 1,000 customers, and now all of a sudden you're at 1 million.
Right.
That's different, right? So in fact, I'm going to name drop another one of our customers in Southern California, which is Fashion Nova, one of the hottest, apparel retail. When they started with us, they were relatively small, and their business is literally doubling almost on an annual basis.
Is that because of Cardi B?
That's theoretically so, although I heard she got arrested today. So
no.
Yeah,
I'll have to look into that.
Apparently a spat with Nicki Minaj.
Yes, you are right about that.
See, I keep up on my Cardi B because I have a 14-year-old daughter who is a big Cardi B fan.
Oh, good. I'm a Cardi B fan. I'm #Team Cardi.
Okay, there you go. So she, what was that famous song she had about a year ago? I got bloody shoes. Yeah, she did that. That was her bat mitzvah entrance song.
Oh my gosh, your daughters?
Yeah. So I thought that was a little bit risque, but she was good with that. But anyway, go back.
Yellow. That's the name of the song. I remembered it. But back to NetSuite.
Back to NetSuite. So with customers like those that are growing, people may say, well, why do we have to worry about keeping the lights on? Their volumes and the change in how they do business is something that we help them with.
Right.
So as we go up the continuum with advanced customer support, it then goes into optimize, which, as the name would imply, is how do we optimize the solution? How do we add bells and whistles? How do we make sure that the performance is where it needs to be? Because you may write some software that works with 1,000 customers, but it doesn't work with 1 million customers.
Yeah.
And then we get to architect, which is really for our larger customers that are, enterprise size customers, and they're looking at, global businesses, multiple millions of transactions, and those would be, how do we architect the solution so that it is it's optimal for their business. So generically speaking, that's all the way, again, t-shirt sizes from small, medium, large, and extra large, if you will.
Right.
And the small customers are not going to want to spend a lot of money, right? And so we have a low cost offering for them that's literally the entry point is like 9 hours a quarter. So there's not, in our opinion, that's a pretty low entry point all the way up to our enterprise size customers.
So from, the lowest to the highest, like you just discussed, if you could kind of wrap that up into what would you say is the overall value of ACS for, how does it optimize NetSuite for our customers?
What it does is as they've gone live, it allows them to grow their business and feel comfortable that NetSuite is going to grow and adapt in the best possible fashion with them.
Got it.
And that's, I think, the simplest way I can describe it.
So moving on to Learning Cloud support.
And by the way, sorry, that was a very good question.
Of course.
We have noticed that, customers that also don't want to have a big staff of IT people, like if let's just say you got 15 different modules of NetSuite, you may have to go and hire, you may want to hire some people that, if you're a big company, I'm going to hire this kind of person. That by us being involved from an ACS perspective, we can bring tiny slices of expertise to you. Like if you need 3 hours of an e-commerce guy, we can bring that to you without you having to hire a dedicated e-commerce guy.
Wow.
So that's what ACS allows us to do for you in a very, very cost-effective manner.
Wow. Okay, so moving on to Learning Cloud Support, or LCS. It's a 24/7 subscription-based managed services offering online training anytime, anywhere, right?
Yep.
Can you explain how LCS works a little bit and how it works with our customers and why this online training with a managed service is crucial to our customer success?
So with Suite Success or any project of NetSuite, there's really two kinds of training that we do. The first part is really teaching you how NetSuite works, what its capabilities are, what is order to cash, what is procure to pay, how do you configure and set that up. And then the second one is when you, let's just say closer towards your go live, is how do you do your end user training. So at NetSuite in the past, the first piece of that, which is like how do you configure NetSuite, the NetSuite fundamentals, the procure to pay, the order to cash, the record to report, customers would send people to a class. And so we had NetSuite University, which was instructor-led training. We now have 3 different ways of doing that. So so let's just say you're doing Suite Success software. We've built self-directed training in an online fashion. So you can you don't have to go to a class.
Yeah, I was going to say that takes a lot of time.
It takes a lot of time, and you have to do it when the class starts and stops.
Right.
So our customers weren't happy with having to do 4 days or 5 days worth of training dedicated and blocked out. They wanted to do the training when they wanted to do the training at their pace. And if something came up in their business, they could put the training on hold and then come back to it when they were ready to do it. Right. So we built over 1,000 hours, and this grows all the time, of self-directed training with videos, and it directs you through the training, and it's tailored to the specific Suite Success version that you have.
Wow.
And it's updated. So NetSuite comes out, because it's a cloud-based application, there's 2 upgrades every year. We update the training twice a year just to keep current with that. So that's our online training.
Okay.
So we actually have a library, and if you buy Learning Cloud Support, you have access to that library for all of the content that we have, regardless of what you're using.
Oh, wow.
So you may go live, let's say you're a retailer, and you put in the financials, and you put in some other things around the distribution of your product. But later on, if you decide, I want to explore, should I use the warehouse management system, or should I implement NetSuite e-commerce or NetSuite Suite People, you can actually, if you've got LCS, you can go and train yourself up, using the subscription-based training to evaluate or get trained up on how that may be helpful to you. So LCS is that 24/7 subscription service. That's what's called the LCS Pass. For our bigger customers or others that are still interested in online training or NetSuite instructor-led training or even customs, we have some very large customers that go, I have a procurement department of 20 people. I want to send 10 of them to a training that's custom built for me specifically. That's what we would call LCS Select, which is so it's a more cost-effective, ongoing. We have an education success manager that can guide you through the kinds of training that you may need to keep your staff always up to date on NetSuite or evolving as your business grows and you want to change NetSuite. So again, LCS is the LCS Pass, which is the basic version, is an annual access to everything that we have in our training database. You can access it 7/24 at your own pace whenever you want to do it. If you took the NetSuite Fundamentals class and now you've forgotten what you did, just go back and take it again.
Got it.
Or if somebody, or if you want to learn about procure to pay, go and take that one. Or if you want to learn about Suite People or Suite Billing or any of the applications that we have, you can get that through LCS Pass.
Well, and I imagine that's super important too when you're hiring. So if you end up hiring someone new, or if somebody goes on maternity or paternity leave, something, you have these videos that you can say, here's my training. And also if you want additional support, watch this or do this or see this,
exactly
database of information.
And so it's for that at your own pace, it's self-directed, and it's refresher or exploring new parts of NetSuite.
So then the Select version is...
The Select then goes to more of the instructor-led training and the custom training, typically as you're starting to get bigger and bigger and bigger, right? As you may want to, take 10 people through a training class or customize training specifically to your NetSuite implementation.
Got it. Well, we're going to get into a couple of the other services that we offer as well really quick after this break.
If you've ever met a famous athlete at a corporate event or gotten an official autograph, chances are Steiner Sports made it happen. Here's Brandon Steiner.
We believe that there's magic in the moments that sports creates. We get customers closer to the game and help companies use the power of sports to grow their business. We've been in business 30 years, and we've had multiple systems to keep track of all the athletes and all of our customers. Multiple systems means multiple headaches. So we made the move to NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite lets us replace all of our finance, inventory, and CRM functions with one convenient system. Now all the departments can see the same data. And if I have a question about our business, I can get the answer quickly.
This month, NetSuite is offering a free 60-minute business review with an expert in your industry to identify opportunities to turbocharge your growth. To get your free review, go to netsuite.com/Steiner. That's netsuite.com/Steiner. netsuite.com/Steiner.
So we talked about a lot of the services that we offer, but we still have more. And one of those includes the NetSuite Education Services team, which offers a wide range of training, user adoption, and certification services. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? What are some of the highlights of these offerings, and how does it affect our customer success?
Yeah, so as we spoke about as part of LCS, which is Learning Cloud Support, actually came out of our education services team. So what we feel very strongly about is that if you look at ERP systems, or in fact any technology, I've been in this business. Maybe I shouldn't say for how long, because people think I'm old.
No, but it's important. You've done it all. You've worked with a bunch of them.
Yeah, the biggest reason for things not going so well is the people side of things, right?
Okay.
So you could have the best technology in the world, and people just don't know how to use it. They're resistant to change.
Right.
They don't know how to, like in Vegas, they may be excited about NetSuite, but they don't know how to get out of the garage and into the kitchen and up to the the bedroom, master bedroom with the fireplace, etc.
Yeah.
So education services for us isn't just training. We've expanded it into user adoption.
Right.
And so what I'll talk about user adoption is, as we're going through a Suite Success project, a company will always have their way of doing things. And then there may be the leading practice way. And the company wants their people to adopt more of the leading practice. But inherently as people, we're resistant to change.
100%.
So how do we go from how we used to do it to how we want to do it? And so when you look at that, that may sound really, really simple. But what we've seen in some of the implementations that don't go as well as others is we go and we make NetSuite do what they used to do. And we make it complex, over-engineered, very, very difficult to use. So we use adoption services to move you more towards what you should be doing, and how do you get over that change. And so that's what user adoption services helps our customers with. So for Suite Success, again, if you're a small company, you don't have a lot of effort around that, but we bring in tools and techniques and approaches to get you over that. To larger customers, we're doing a little bit more about that, because we may have people that have been there for 20 years and this is the way they've always done it. So management and NetSuite work together to figure out how do we adopt the change, if you will. And then certification for us is important because NetSuite is a very powerful tool. And so you want to feel confident that you as a customer, people that are implementing your software, know how to implement it correctly or how to configure NetSuite in the most appropriate fashion. Right. So we actually established certification several years ago for both. It started with our internal consultants, but now it's gone to all of the implementers that are out there. So we try and make sure that our partners and implementers have the requisite knowledge of NetSuite so they can do a good job for you. At NetSuite, we don't want to be the only company that is capable of implementing NetSuite, but we want to try and adopt standards so that everybody out there is not just making it up or it's the first time they've seen it, because that could end up in not such a good spot for our customers at the end of the day. And again, because we're a cloud company, if a customer goes live, whether we implemented that solution or not, they're going to turn around and say, why are we here?
Right.
And how do you get us out of the ditch, if you will?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So overall, the education services team, what I'm hearing is they are there to really make life easier in terms of not only just training, but like you said, configuring the software so that it's not just this abrupt, quick, fast change into a whole new system that nobody really understands. Like you said, it's hard. Accepting change is hard.
Yep.
So all of this is really just to create a transition onto our system that's as easy for our customers to understand a little bit better.
Understand and be champions of NetSuite versus getting dragged, kicking and screaming onto this new system, if you will.
Right. Got it.
So
okay.
we want people to be, to use a word, evangelize NetSuite, right?
Got it.
And if they're good, oh boy, there's this difficult transition, they're not going to be that excited about it.
Right. And have you experienced some success stories out of this, and some ways in which maybe there was a customer that had an older system that they were a little worried about changing? Yeah,
there's been a lot of those. I mean, we've got a lot of customers that, I think the most powerful ones are where you see a lot of customers that they see a lot of different systems in the marketplace. So they quickly go out and buy this system, then that system, then this system, then that system, and they end up with 10 different systems. And now they sit there and go, oh my goodness, I've got customers that are in 6 of those systems. So I have to make sure that data is moving around. I have to upgrade those systems whenever the upgrades come out. I have to keep them in sync. And so that's where the term suite comes from with NetSuite is we want to replace we want to be as broad of a footprint at a customer as we can possibly be, because it takes some of that complexity and headache and integration away at the end of the day. So the success stories that we see are customers that are able to adopt and adapt to the best practices, use NetSuite in the most optimal fashion, and not make it overly complex for their for their internal operations.
Right.
And those customers, are always the happiest.
Of course.
Yeah, at the end of the day.
Of course. And it doesn't stop there, actually. Looking forward, NetSuite Services is also launching partner services this year, right?
Yep.
What did we learn? Well, first of all, what is that?
So one of these are for our partners that are out there. So we have a number of, whether it's systems integration firms or big consultancies like Deloitte and Capgemini, or companies that will resell and implement NetSuite. We want there to be more than just NetSuite out there that does this work.
Which you just said. Yeah, exactly.
So and what we found is that our training for our partners is good, but there's not enough of it.
Right.
NetSuite is really growing very rapidly in the marketplace. So we want to actually have our partners be successful in becoming expert on NetSuite, knowing, so when we launch new products and modules, they're 90 days late. Within 90 days, we want them to have access to that capability. So how do we train them? Similar to how we train a customer or how we train our internal consultants, we want that training to be accessible to our partners as well. So we're working pretty furiously at we've always had partner services. We've always had what we call partner enablement, but now we want to accelerate that very, very dramatically this year and into the future, so that they can get access to the new stuff and the best stuff as soon as or as very close to being hot off the press, if you will.
Right. As always, a lot of these changes come from just experiences with our customers and from learning from their experience with NetSuite. What did we learn that influenced this?
So what we learned is, if you take every customer that's out there, there's hundreds and thousands, if not millions, of different types of businesses, right? And we can go, this is this vertical and this is this micro vertical, whatever the case may be. Our partners have expertise in areas that so for example, they may be just amazing at food and restaurants, or whatever the case may be. Maybe they're better than we are in that space. So what we do is we look to those partners to be the lead implementers or the lead systems integrators into companies in that space. Or they're better at managing large projects in this country or across different geographies. So our customers may be looking for a different experience with partners than they may be with NetSuite. So we want to make sure that we're recommending, in as many cases as we possibly can, the best option for them, whether it's NetSuite working with a partner or the partner working independently. That's what's driving this movement towards partners. So we are, again, not proprietary. We're not in competition with our partners.
Right.
There are going to be cases where a customer is going to look at us and a partner and pick one that feels better to them. But again, the customers are telling us that in some cases that they want expertise and experience that's very, very close to what they're doing.
Right.
And we may have a partner that's better than us at doing that. And so we'll recommend a partner in that instance. Yeah.
Can you name I guess there's 3 big roles that our partner community can play in terms of enabling success for our customers?
So partners can do implementations.
Okay.
So we train them on Suite Success, which is our broad way of selling and implementing and supporting NetSuite.
Right.
So this is not, if you want to do Suite Success, you have to go with NetSuite only.
Right.
We've got a whole slew of partners that are trained on how to implement Suite Success and specifically into that vertical. We also train our partners on the managed services. So if they want to implement a customer and then stay with that customer till the end of time, and the customer wants to rely on them for the managed services, we are now going to start training our implementation partners on how to do that. We also will provide them with access to our Learning Cloud support, so that they can always be up to date with their training. So whether they're training their managed services people or new consultants. If they're growing their consulting organization, the LCS offering will be very, very helpful to them in getting people trained up on NetSuite. And then obviously they would get certification, right? Once they get trained, they go through certification. I will add that the NetSuite certification, it's not like you study a bunch of stuff and you watch TV in your spare time. It's and then the test is like a rubber stamp. The certification is really, really quite difficult.
Okay.
We actually make it a prerequisite for some of our promotions internally. So it's consultants that want to be promoted to senior consultant internally within NetSuite have to be certified on certain aspects of NetSuite.
Wow.
And if they don't pass the exam, we hold back that promotion until they pass the exam.
Well, that's good to know for our customers, who are looking into that and know that you're getting the top of the top and the best of the best.
Exactly. And we want our partners to have the same kinds of people in their organization. So the enablement and training is aimed at getting them trained up on NetSuite, but then allowing them to go through the certification exam so that they've got really, really solid people as well. But we also find that there's some aspects of NetSuite that just we have to work with our partners on. So for example, if we have a big systems integrator that's working with a big customer and they've got tons of volumes, we're going to work with that systems integrator to make sure that the system is going to be performant, right? It's that the volume of data is going to get through NetSuite efficiently. And we have that, given that we run NetSuite, we put it's in our data centers, we understand how the databases are engineered. We need to work together with the partner to make sure that it isn't constructed badly, so NetSuite doesn't perform well. So the marketplace is also looking for those kinds of services where we work well with our partners. We get to the finish line together, and us and the partner are super happy. The customer is happy, and it's a good a good result at the end of the day.
So the goal overall is to work with these partners no matter what to get the top customer satisfaction so that we're not always selling and we can allow our partners to take on some of that workload with the same results.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And actually, speaking of customer satisfaction, can you tell us a little bit, to conclude here, tell us a little about the NetSuite Services Customer Satisfaction Program? What is this all about? How does this work?
Okay, so good, very good question. So we, in services, which again, I'll remind everyone is our professional services, which is implementation, and then we go into managed services. What we do is we take as soon as a customer goes live, and we send them a survey right at that point. And if those of you familiar with Net Promoters, NPS, we use the NPS, which is an industry standard format.
Okay.
So we ask them a very simple question on a scale of, you've probably seen this, from whether you use Apple or others, how satisfied are you with NetSuite? Mm-hmm. And the reason why we do that is the customer satisfaction, a better practice, is to, as soon as you experience something, is to ask them how that experience was.
Right away.
Because we've got customers that have been with us for 100 days and customers that have been with us for 6 years.
Right.
And they're experiencing different things. So we do ask generic questions twice a year, like, are you happy with NetSuite? But they could be experiencing different things. This customer just went live. They may be getting used to NetSuite, trying to figure out how to grow with it or optimize it. Whereas this guy's been here for 6 years and they're now looking at the upgrade process and their dreams have come true. They're expanding into Europe. So their experiences are different at the end of the day. So in services, to summarize, we do, right after implementation, we do a survey. Mm-hmm. And here's maybe a peek beneath the covers at NetSuite PS, is that our bonuses are based on customer satisfaction.
Wow. So
our people now know that, if we get bad scores, or if I'm not doing such a great job, mm-hmm. that I'm not going to make as much money as if my customers are happier.
Right.
So we have very, very direct tie back to our KPIs internally for our people, which is based on that survey. Then in support, now shifting over to the support side of the house, we also survey our customers on a constant basis for support. We have what are called service level targets for how quickly we respond to issues. So you're based on a criticality of that issue. So if a customer brings up a very, very urgent issue, how quickly were they able to get a response, and how quickly are we able to get that resolved for them?
Right.
And we are extremely proud of NetSuite support. We consider it to be world class. Our survey results are very consistently high. We measure how many responses we're getting, and then the scores relative to those responses. And again, our people are evaluated based on the satisfaction of customers. For us, this is going to be a never-ending pursuit. It's like, how do you keep making your customers happier? If this is going to sound a bit weird, but going through an ERP implementation or any big system project is difficult. It's difficult. It's not something that someone wakes up one day and goes, this is going to be like going to Hawaii and it's going to be the greatest thing. It's hard, right? It's tough. And sometimes there's blood, sweat, and tears. But we are striving to make sure that when we get to the end, that they got what they saw 100 days, 200 days ago in the demo, that they can go, wow, this is a huge improvement. And if we don't have that, if we don't see that, expectations being met, if we don't see happy customers, we know that that's not a road to long-term success for NetSuite.
Of course.
So culturally, that's ingrained into everything we do at services.
And it's culturally, it's ingrained to that check that you're going to get at the end, at the end of the year, and keep working towards bettering yourself and therefore bettering your customer.
Exactly.
What would you say, like we talked a little bit about how the results from our support team have come back, and they've come back generally positive, but what about the results from these surveys overall? What are we learning? What have they indicated?
So first of all, we started the implementation surveys. We're now close to 2 years of doing them. Okay. And what we tend to get, our scores have been going up over time. I would say that, I'm very proud of our scores. They're for ERP implementation services. We are pretty world class at the scores that we get. Right. But I'm not naive to know that there's always going to be there's going to be a few customers that, maybe listening to this and say, well, my experience wasn't completely positive. And so we're constantly trying to make sure that there's as few of those as we can possibly have. And when those do arise, we're now getting the scores, or they're calling us and saying, this didn't go as well as I expected, or I'm unhappy about this. And then we figure out, how do we change the way that we do things so that doesn't happen again. In general, we're extremely excited about the scores that we're getting. We see a lot of celebratory emails around, hey, I got a 9 or a 10 on my survey, because those are what are called technically promoters, right? Oh, okay. 7 or 8s are neutrals. And in other words, the way that NPS works is that if you're a 9 or a 10, you're going to go and tell someone about NetSuite. Right. Whereas if you're a 7 and an 8, you're neutral. You're reasonably happy, but you're not going to be shouting from the rooftops. Right. 6 and below, you're a net detractor at the end of the day. So we're focusing on, where do we get a 6 and below? And we also ask a question, what specifically could we have done better to make our score higher? Got it. And then we feed that back into the engine, and then we're constantly trying to shore up the things that caused us to be lower on scores. Got it. Well, to conclude here, I want to provide our listeners with an opportunity, if they do want to look into some of these, services that we provide that maybe they weren't aware of. I'm sure they are, but if they're a fairly new user, whatever it may be, how can they get a hold of our services team? What's the best way to go about that? Well, the one thing that we have at NetSuite, which I think is we're very proud of, is we have an account management organization. Sometimes that gets shortened or abbreviated to AMO. So every customer has an account manager when they go live. So you can get in touch with your account manager and say, I heard something on the podcast, or I'm interested in exploring, LCS or ACS or new modules of NetSuite, or how do I make this better, or how do I learn about that? Your account manager is probably the first person to pick up the phone and get in touch with. They're supposed to be looking at your best interests at heart, right?
Right.
They're very motivated to make sure that you're happy, because if you're happy, you're going to be a customer for life, and that's what they're aiming for at the end of the day.
Right.
So the account manager is that person that I would suggest you get in touch with.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so to wrap things up here, David, what are some of the things you're most looking forward to in the near future?
Yeah, so a couple of things that are coming up that I think are going to be exciting for us and hopefully for our customers is we've mentioned Learning Cloud Support, which is the LCS, and that's the subscription, so giving customers access to all of our online training. So for anyone who goes through a Suite Success implementation, from the smallest customer to the biggest customer, we're going to include a pass of LCS for a year. And the reason why I'm excited about that is what we sometimes see is that customers will go through the training during the project, and then a month after go live, they go, oh, I forgot how to do X or Y or Z.
Right.
This will allow them for a period of a year, which is a pretty long time, to go back and go and take the training again, or go and revisit a part that they forgot about.
Without having to pay for LCS.
Yeah. So LCS will be included in the Suite Success implementation for a year. And then the second one is, and we mentioned this a little bit earlier, is what we call our ACS Advise offering. So this is our managed service offering aimed at smaller customers. So if you are interested in managed services but don't want to sign up for a large commitment, you just want to have access to NetSuite subject matter experts in a variety of topics, whether it's e-commerce or warehouse management or distribution or financials, without signing up for a big financial commitment, our ACS Advise offering is also coming out in the near future. It's baked, almost ready to go, and we're really looking forward to that offering coming out too.
Awesome. Well, that's very exciting stuff, and I'm looking forward to hearing about it, which means you'll probably be on again to talk more about it, and I'm looking forward to that as well. That'd be fun anytime. Yeah. This was super helpful. I mean, even just for me, and I'm sure for our listeners as well. So
thanks for having me. Yeah.
Thank you for coming on.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Well, this certainly helped me learn even more about the support and services we offer our customers to enable their continued growth with NetSuite, and I hope you feel the same. Thank you so much to David Rodman for educating us on this episode of the NetSuite podcast, and of course, it was all made possible by our sponsors at the Second City, Ring, and Steiner Sports. I'd also like to say thank you to our editors at Lampstand and all you listeners for tuning in. As always, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe.
You just listened to the NetSuite Podcast. Be sure to tune in every week with more NetSuite developments, stories, and insights into the benefits of one integrated system to help you run your business.